What up, UFC T-Dot Breakdowns? We here for ESPN Blaydes versus Daukaus. This is a fight card. It was live in Cincinnati in front of an audience. They were crazy. They were raucous. There was one moment they were booing a match. DC and Bisping had comments on that, on the crowds, the difference between the UK ESPN card crowd and this ESPN crowd, right? Um, Canceled fight Michelle Watterson versus Amanda Rebus. That would have been a fun fight to watch. Also, Tucker Lutz versus Choi Seung Woo. I'm not familiar with Choi Seung Woo, but he's a Korean fighter, so I probably would have been rooting for him. I love Michelle Watterson. I love Amanda Rebus. I think that would have been a great fight. Anyway, so what we had going on, starting off on the prelims, we had Bruno Souza versus Luis Sandoval. It was a pretty back and forth fight. I actually had Bruno winning the second and the third round, but the judges went with Luis Sandoval 29-28, unanimous decision. I think it was the takedowns that helped Sandoval win that fight, to be honest, because I feel like Bruno fought a better fight sans the takedowns. Um, Next up, we had Matthias Nikolov versus David Davrov. And this is the fight where the crowd was kind of booing because these guys were so equally matched. It was a bit of a chess match. It was kind of, you know, they were stagnating each other a little bit because they kind of similar fighting styles and similar skill levels. Um, they were talking about, because the crowd kind of booed them a little bit because they were kind of lackadaisical with the action. And when the crowd started booing him, DC was like, this crowd's been locked in the house and this is their first. And DC was like, hey, they weren't booing last week, buddy. In the UK, they were booing, buddy. He right, though. They weren't booing last week. Um, Matthias Nicola had a knockdown in the second round. For me, that was the only action that really separated the two. So I had Nikolai winning. Um, I had Deverov winning the second round, Nikolai winning the first and second. I'm sorry, Deverov winning the third. And then judges saw a 29-28 unanimous decision for Matthias Nikolov. So, I had that one picked right. Next up, we had Jennifer Maya versus Manon Fior. Fior, spelled Farrat. Um, that chick is good. She has skills. Like, she's a really technical fighter. Um, I had her winning all three rounds. The second round was pretty close. Maya might have stole that round at the end, but I feel like Fuhrer won every round, to be quite honest with you. The judges saw it the same way. They had her win 30-27, unanimous decision. Um, Next up, we had, I'm going to mess this name up, Ali Askab versus Ali Askab. Ali Askab Kizriv versus Dennis Tululin. Mess up both of them names. Um, Ali Askab, this dude is like Dagestani, and he trained out of Khabib gym, and he looked like he trained out of Khabib gym. He got an Abraham Lincoln beard, and he like on the feet he was scary, and then when they got on the ground he was scary-er, as if he trains at Khabib's camp. Um, got him in a rear naked choke in that second round, and put Dennis Tulua to sleep. He was fighting it. He wasn't going to tap, and he didn't have to. He went to sleep. Um, don't wrestle with people from Dagestan unless you're like DC. If you're not DC or that kind of caliber of a wrestler, don't wrestle with Dagestanis. It don't turn out well. It don't, Justin Gaethje, it don't turn out well. Poirier, McGregor, it don't turn out well when you wrestle against Dagestanis. I know what they doing in their training camps. I mean, they can't all be wrestling bears like Khabib, right? Right? All right. Next up, we had Batgrel Dana versus Chris Gutierrez. This Dana dude is Mongolian, and this cat has fire in his hands. He knocks people out. I mean, to be honest with you, if Chris Gutierrez didn't have such a great chin and so much heart, he would have knocked him out. He almost knocked him out. That Dana dude is good. I feel like he won the first round. In the second round, Gutierrez is doing much better, and Dana's still hitting with power of Godsons, and Gutierrez set him up for the spinning back fist, and he hit him with it, and he like flash knocked down Dana. Dana's on the ground, he dazed. Gutierrez jumps right on top. He's landing elbow after elbow after elbow. Herb Dean steps in and stops it. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but like this is the kind of stoppage I hate because it wasn't an early stoppage. He got flash knocked down, and he was landing elbow after elbow after elbow. It looked like Dana was out, but I mean, like the moment that the fight was stopped, Dana just jumped up, and Dana didn't even know what was going on. He's like, "Why are you stopping the fight? I'm perfectly fine and ready to fight." And they were like, "Nah, it's over, man." And even though you seem perfectly fine right now, we're not even going to discuss it because the shots that he was landing on you probably caused you to have at least one concussion, maybe two. And there's no point. Excuse me. I'm going to have to go get some water. But it wasn't an early stoppage. It was an appropriate stoppage for what it looked like. But the moment the fight was stopped, it was clear that it might have been a little early. I don't know. It's not even one I would really contest because it was the beginning of the end, and he probably saved him from a lot of damage he would have took because he would have just took that damage because I don't think Dana was going to give up. I think he would have just ate those punches until he was able to fight his way through it or got knocked the fuck out, to be honest with you. But yeah, Gutierrez won by TKO. Spinning back fist was beautiful, well placed. Wasn't quite Molly Meatball McCann placed, but it was placed very well. Gutierrez won by TKO in the second round. Next up, we had Sarah McMahon versus Cara Rosa. Sarah McMahon just Khabib'd her. She just out-muscled her, out-wrestled her. She just was more powerful, controlled the fight almost the entire fight. McMahon won unanimous decision. All right, moving on to the main card, we had Mark Jacasey versus Vyacheslav Borshev. Mark Jacasey, who's normally a striker, he's the guy, he's always got the red hair, British dude, but Jacasey in this fight was all wrestling all day. I mean, he looked swollen, he looked massive. Like, he normally is a very fit dude, but he looked big, and his wrestling was on display. I mean, it's mixed martial arts. This Borshev dude is like a kickboxer. He's a famous kickboxer, a big known kickboxer, but Mark Jacasey didn't even give him the chance. Excuse me. I mean, he dominated him all 3 rounds in the wrestling. Won by unanimous decision, Jacasey did. Next up, you had Max Griffin versus Neil Magny. This is a crazy fight. Max Griffin came out the first round, and I mean, put it on Neil Magny. It was looking bad for Neil. But, you know, Neil Magny, man, second round, came back. I feel like he won the second round. I feel like he dominated the third round and even finished the fight like there was like 10 seconds and they was kind of grappling. It's like 10 seconds and Neil was just like, boom, like the Undertaker, just tombstone pile drived him. It was crazy. Magny won by decision, 29-28. Yeah, like that Neil Magny is good. He a different kind of good, but he good, man. That Max Griffin looks great, though, actually. He looked better in this fight than he's probably looked in a lot of fights, but he was fighting Neil Magny. It happens. All right, next up we had Askar Askarov versus Kai Kara France, which is, we're having a competition to see whose first and last names can sound the most alike. Askar won. His name is Askarov. Askarov. It's literally the same, but Askaraskaror. Askar Askarov versus Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France is good, man. Like, that kid is good. First round, Askarov was just all over him. He was wearing him as a backpack most of the round. Like, second round, I feel like Kai Kara France really, really dominated that second round. Third round was back and forth. It was action-packed. I mean, I think this is argument for fight of the night. It was a real slobber knocker. Kai Kara France won by decision. I don't necessarily agree or disagree. Like I said, it was a very close fight. It was a good fight, action-packed. Next up, we had Matt Brown versus Brian Barberini. This was the fight of the night, right? So Matt the Immortal Brown, my opinion, won every single round in this fight. They were close rounds. It was heavily contested. It was a battle. Everybody was bleeding, elbows galore. They're 2 tough, rugged dudes. It was a crazy fight. In the end, the judges saw it 28-29 for Barberini, which is crazy to me because I had Matt Brown winning all 3 rounds. But it is what it is. Like I said, I think it was the fight of the night. So it's not like Matt Brown was like so dominant that it's a steal. It wasn't a steal. Just I had Matt Brown winning all 3 rounds, and it was a great fight. Um, but yeah, Brian Barberini with the win. Joanne Wood versus, and this was crazy. Is this is a card that didn't have a whole lot of stoppages on it. It was a lot of decisions. The judges, I feel, for the most part, they got it right. There's 2 fights I would have disagreed with them on, but even those fights I disagree with them on, they were close fights. Excuse me. Close fights where, like, I'm not even mad at the decision. I just feel like they made the wrong decision. But this way, don't let it go to decision. So next up, you had Joanne Wood, formerly JoJo Calderwood, I believe, or JoJo Wood. I don't know. She used to be JoJo, now she Joanne. Um, Against Alexa Grasso. I love me some Alexa Grasso. She looked like somebody I used to know, and I don't know. I just like Alexa Grasso. She's an amazing boxer. She's got great footwork. She's got fast hands. She's smart. She's intelligent. She claims to have been working on her grappling and her jiu-jitsu. And this fight, we actually got to see it because not only did she show us her hands, but then she ended up taking Joanne down and getting a rear naked choke, finishing it in the first round. Good shit for Alexa Grasso. I really like to watch her fight. I feel like she's an amazing fighter who, she hasn't had the greatest run, but every time I see her fight, I feel like she should be winning. Alexa Grasso. I like her a lot. And I don't know if you guys have followed her, but like her English is amazing by comparison to when she first started fighting. It's amazing. Um, and then for the main event, we had Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Daukaus. Curtis Blaydes is like the #1 dude in takedowns in heavyweight history. He the wrestler. He the heavyweight who take you down. Not this fight. So first round, no wrestling. I had Daukaus winning that round, but it was close. In the second round, Curtis Blaydes caught Chris Daukaus with this right hand as he was coming in. Shwaka! Put him down. Curtis Blaydes took zero takedown attempts. Excuse me. Daukaus never really recovered from that right hand. Curtis beat him down, took it. I can see that Curtis is consciously trying to be more entertaining, like in the interview portions of his things, and he's also, I think, part of the reason why he's doing excuse me, more knocking out and less taking down as of late, is because people are starting to realize it, like with Kobe Covington. Nobody liked Covey until he was the bad guy, and they still don't like him, but they watch him now, right? Kobe Covington, it's because he's the bad guy. Jorge Masvidal has always been this dude, but until he start acting like Street Jesus, they weren't paying attention, right? Conor didn't get big until Conor started acting crazy. I think Curtis Blaydes is taking a page out of their books, and he's WWEing it to the best of his ability, but I don't think that's really his nature. I think he just want to fight, but I think he is trying to turn it on because he's so good. He's a contender, and with no personality, they're not gonna put you in them title fights. And so I think he called out Gang. I think. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure he called out Cyril Gane at the end of the fight, which I want to see that fight. It's a good match for Curtis Blaydes, because if Ngannou could out wrestle Gane, then Curtis Blaydes could definitely out wrestle Gane. But I don't know, man. Curtis Blaydes, he's such a dominant dude, and I want to see him fight those best dudes, but also I don't, because like I said, he's been very entertaining his last couple fights. No takedown attempts in this fight, which is crazy for Curtis Blaydes. But yeah, I think that's it. If you made it this far, I fucking love you, man. I appreciate your time and your energy. Thank you for listening to me babble about nothing. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. All that good shit. That's it. ESPN Fight Night, Blaydes versus Daukaus. It was alright. It was what I expect from an ESPN card. It was a letdown by comparison to what happened in London at the UK Arena, but what can be expected? They were locked down probably worse than us, and now they free as free can be. So they was out there having a ball. Their fighters really came and won. Whereas on this card, you had fighters from that area that didn't even fight. Stipe was there, but he was just in the crowd. You had fighters from that area lose. Yeah, like Matt Brown lost, and that's his hometown. And I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm Matt Brown or a Matt Brown fan, I don't hold my head low because Matt Brown won that fucking fight. You got Blaydes and Daukaus; they not from there specifically, but they from that kind of part of the world. So, you know, it was a good main event because they're both kind of working class, tough guys that are from that general area, so to speak. And the co-main event and the main event ended in a submission, a first round submission, a second round TKO. That's always fun. Yeah, it was a decent card. I mean, it's an ESPN card. They're lesser cards generally, and like I said, with those cards, they're usually either hit or miss. They're either really good cards or they're really bad cards. This one was kind of in the middle, so I think that's a win because at least it wasn't one of those bad ESPN cards. It was a good card. It just, you know, the problem is the two best fights, in my opinion. Neither fight was won by the person who won the fight, in my opinion. So, you know, you leave it up to the judges. That's what you deal with. Curtis Blaydes and Alexa Grasso said, "No, I'm winning tonight." You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, like, this is why Matt and Barberino's fight probably is the fight of the night. I mean, there's another fight prior to that was close, but that Matt Brown Brian Barberino fight was probably the fight of the night. And even though I feel like Matt Brown won, it was so close and so heavily contested. Like, I'm not even mad at Barberino winning that fight. I'm only mad because it's Matt Brown and he's at home and it's Matt Brown. And I feel like Matt Brown won all three rounds. Like, I have, like, the way I do my notes now have become a little bit standardized. And literally underneath every fight, I have round one, round two, round three, where I put notes for each round if notes need to be put there just in case, because I found that, like, my earlier videos, I just was running through who won, who lost, and I wasn't actually breaking down anything or talking about any of the fights. And so I'm trying to incorporate more of that by changing the way that I take my notes. And so with every single fight, I have who won every round on my scorecards. You know what I mean? And I'll say this: for the most part, the judges get it right. It just seems like when they get it wrong, they get it fucking wrong. Anyways, that's it, y'all. I'm out of here. Thanks for listening. Bye.